Thanks for that. So this is the verify release UX recommendations for merge request. It's to aid the OKR. It's this thread to read through. There was this process lined out that we have changed. We're now at this step, set up prioritization session with your PM and EM to go over the collected issues for your stage group from table above before the 5th of June.
Okay. 5th of June,
The issues that,
wow.
Let me see.
I see that our group is on the bottom of the page.
Yeah. So these are the issues that we can look into in terms of like, hey, what do we think is feasible versus what is important, those kind of things.
So what I think our first step would be is to have the engineering team weigh them, because as I see it at the moment, they're not ready for dev. So I think that would be our first step. So I think if you want to do this together, it's also okay. Let's choose like the top 3 and add them to the engineering needs weight. And according to the weight that they give and the capacity that we have for the next milestones, we can see if we can push something.
Yeah, so that seems like a good idea. In order to get those top 3, we do need to have a discussion though.
Yeah, that's okay.
So
we can do it synchronous or asynchronous. We can take it in our one-on-one, or we can just start a thread on this issue if you prefer.
I'll put it up for our next one-on-one. How does it sound?
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Cool. Let me see.
But to be fair, since we're at the end of 13.1, we need to add. We would add this to the needs weight issue to 13.2. So probably we wouldn't have something in this immediate quarter. Maybe we'll have like 1 issue, but we can start thinking about it for 13.3 and onward.
Yeah, I'll relay this information back, and we'll let's see how far we can get. Any progress is better than no progress, right?
Yeah.
And then I see your point is next one.
Yeah. So if you let me share the screen, can you stop sharing?
Yes.
Okay. So what I did today was we had a whole discussion about recruiting new people for Spinnaker. And I was really, really pleasantly surprised about the fact that we actually have a lot of responses that are good responses. Last time we talked about this, there were 4 respondents that said yes, they were using Spinnaker. And now we're at a 22. So that's a big difference. And when I went through the issues and I kind of consolidated them, I found a really, really interesting data. So first of all, Lori, I saw your comment and I will create a discussion guide.
Okay.
I do think it's worthwhile to continue exploring and actually getting like a conversation with these people and not only a survey. Probably not with 20.
Yeah, but 20 is good to start with if you're looking to like talk to like 6 or 8 or 10. It's good that we have 20 to start with.
Because it was really interesting data. So I put here like a bunch of the insights that I found, which was interesting. So like in the terms of the persona, we have like a clear persona that are using it. It's DevOps engineers or site reliability engineer, which I don't think we have this persona in GitLab, but no, it's Devin. Devin is our persona. Most of the respondents deploy to the production multiple times a week. The majority of the respondents are using rolling upgrades as a deployment strategy, which is really interesting because we're putting a lot of effort in that regardless to this Spinnaker research. So it definitely gives you validation that we're on the right track. The majority of the respondents have one deployment in production at a time. This was really interesting in terms of another conversation that we had on a different issue. So it's an interesting insight. Majority of respondents deployed to a single public cloud. So we're at the moment doing native deployment to cloud. The next point was that the vast majority is using AWS, so it was a good choice to choose AWS first. And regarding the previous question, it's really good to know because there's a big trend now to deploy to multi-clouds, and it doesn't look like that's the case. So I think it's okay to hold off on that. Rollbacks are not a pain point. So when I was looking at what we could do to win over users that are using Spinnaker and not GitLab, it doesn't look like that's a good place to start because it looks like most of the time people are not dealing with rollbacks. Maybe there's like one respondent that said they were using it up to 20%, but the majority of the people are not. Also, it's pretty easy to find out the root cause of the problem, so that's not something we should invest in. Majority of the respondents have an automated way to verify successful deployment, which is interesting both in terms of what we found out in AWS and also what we're doing about the post-deployment monitoring. In terms of rollbacks, there's a need to support both manual and automatic workflows, which is also something that came up on the post-deployment monitoring research, which is that there's really no cut clear way, and you can see it's pretty much distributed evenly. Some are using fully automated, some are using manual, and some are like a mix. So it seems like we need to support all those use cases. This isn't really very interesting. We have a lot of effort that we're doing now regarding load balancers and advanced deployments, and it looks like the vast majority are using load balancers. So that was a validation for me that we're also investing the right effort in that. Majority of respondents are using a config file to manage their deployment scaling. So this is very Kubernetes oriented. This is more interesting for Jackie, but still interesting to know that majority of respondents have deploy freezes, so that's the time where you can't deploy. And I also shared this information with Jackie. And what we call white periods, so certain dates that you're allowed to deploy on. So that was interesting. This is an opportunity that I found. So the majority of respondents said that they leave the Spinnaker app and go to the cloud provider dashboard multiple times a day. And people hate that. They like to stay inside the same tool and get whatever information that they can. And when we were doing the validation for AWS deployments, and most of the people there that responded were using Jenkins, they said they hardly ever leave unless there's like a critical problem, and then they go to the cloud provider dashboard. So I think this is a good opportunity because it means that Spinnaker is not giving them everything they need, and we can have an advantage here. Most of the users wanted an integration between GitLab and Spinnaker so that Spinnaker could trigger a pipeline. So that's interesting feedback. Spinnaker firewalls is something that they write a lot of blogs about, and it's like a main feature, but it looks like the majority of people are not using that feature. So I don't really think that we need to deal with feature parity at the moment with this. And then there's a bunch of text here of why people chose Spinnaker over GitLab, which is really, really interesting. And which features would we need to implement in GitLab CD in order for people to leave Spinnaker and use our solution. So it's very complementary to the question above. And it's an interesting read. And then the last question, which is also very interesting for all ops, not only release, is ranking of Spinnaker features from 1 to 10, where 1 is the highest. And it was interesting to see Like deployment strategies, which we're heavily invested in progressive delivery, it's like the top item, is number one. So that kind of gave me a validation that we're on the right track again. So take a look at this document. I thought it was really interesting.
Is there already issues created from this?
No, I just finished finished making all these graphs like half an hour ago. Took me a long time.
Okay.
Well, I will say this is what, 22 people, and it's a good data set to start asking qualitative questions from, to try to figure out, like, why aren't they using that Spinnaker firewall? If they're not, why not? Those kinds of questions. So I think this is really great. I just caution against making broader decisions and applying it to bigger swaths of people, because when you're 22 people.
Yeah, but overall, I thought it was really good data, because before I couldn't use anything, and here I could really see a trend.
Yes, good. And Ori, do you want Rupert and Emily to continue to try to find people for our survey, or are we kind of done with the survey at this point?
No, I think this is good enough data, and now if I actually pursue real interviews, I think we'll have enough to go on.
Okay, I'll let them know, because I know Emily.
So I did see that there was someone that responded yesterday, so it's still active. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, because nobody shut it down yet. So
yeah, but it was really interesting.
It is. I would wonder, like, what they say, for example, with because Spinnaker is well organized, requires less effort. Like, in what way? But also, yeah, there's some other questions hidden in there.
Yeah.
It's funny that they say, like, yeah, because Netflix is works well.
Well, you know,
it's like,
just shows you that when you have a good reputation, people follow you. It's actually a great response, I thought.
Yeah.
It's a copy paste. And when you think about it, Netflix is really amazing. They have thousands of deployments a day, and they actively experiment with their users, segmented users, and they roll out later. Like they do really, really cutting edge stuff.
So tough opponent.
It is. We're losing a lot of business to them.
All right, game on.
Well, I think everything that we're doing now with, so the next steps is I'm supposed to reach out and get some recruitments for actual interviews. Lori, I did ask Rupert. I'm not sure how to put that. Do I just send an email? Do we have a template?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they want to do that. So if you want to let them schedule, they can. They just need a Calendly link, I think, to do that. Okay. But yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, will you start on a discussion guide for those interviews, or is that already done?
Yeah, no, we just talked about it today. Like, I only saw it in my morning.
Sounds good. Yeah, I would love to be included on the discussion guide. Get some questions in there, and let's go from there. Sounds good.
Okay.
Then for now, nothing more from me. But anybody else has any questions? Otherwise, I'll give some time back.
I'm good.
No, the only thing is I'm still waiting for 2 replacements for the post-deployment monitoring people. So I'll bug Emily about that, or Rupert.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
because like the last request, I believe I checked on the issue was from like 8 days ago or something.
Yeah, they
Maybe.
have so much to do. I'm amazed that they can even keep up with it. So just remind them.
Yeah. Okay then.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. And see you very soon. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.